Okay, today I'm going to show you how to make a swing. Okay, first we need to create a top part as a swing. So create a, and then we skew a little bit, make it a little bit larger. Okay, and I lift it up. Okay, let's see if that's height enough. Okay, maybe a little bit higher. Okay. Okay, because this is the top part, so I'm going to rename the part as top. Okay, and because we don't want this to fall off, and then we need to anchor the part, so check the anchored in the properties. Okay, uh, so because we are going to create a swing, so as you can imagine, we're going to create some rope constraint. So we need to create some attachment. As you can imagine that one rope has two ends, right? So the two ends means two attachments. One will be on the top part of a swing. Another will be the bottom part where you can sit or stand on the swing. And the bottom part should not be anchored because that part is going to moving, right? So swing back and forth. Okay. So first, let's create attachment. Okay, so if you click the model, go to the create, you will see attachment. Okay, you can click here, or there is an alternative approach. So you see this top part here, right? You see this plus sign, and if you click the plus sign, it will pop up a window like this. Okay, there are all different function and properties. So if you type the search object, so att attachment, so okay, now you can see that if I click the attachment, you see this green ball appeared in the center area of the part. So if you zoom in a little bit, you'll see, and if you move the mouse cursor to the green ball, you will see there's a tips showing attachment, and you see this ALT. That means if you press the Alt uh, on the keyboard, it will show the details of this attachment. For example, now I'm press Alt on my keyboard, and you can see that it gives you a little bit more details about this attachment. So the name is attachment, and the parent part is top, and the position axis and the secondary axis. This information. Okay. So um, um, we want our swing to uh, be stabilized, right? So we don't want them like flip over or twisted. So we are going to create four ropes. So we need a four attachment on the top part. So the quickest way to do it is duplicate this attachment, right? So you know how to do the duplicate thing by press Control D on the keyboard. So I'm going to duplicate this attachment, Control D once, twice, and four times. Now you can see that I create four attachment. Okay, because they are all duplicated together, so the four attachment are overlapped to each other. So you will only see one green sphere. But I'm going to move them, and then you will see the four attachments. Okay, but before I do that, I need to rename the attachments because by default, Roblox Studio do not rename them, give it any difference because they are all called attachment. So I'm going to call it, this will be the top one, okay, and the second will be the top two, okay. As you can see, how do you change the file name is that click one attachment, okay, and then single click as you can see that there is a line is flashing here, so then you can that means now you can rename the file. Okay, so top 3. Okay, do it again. Okay, top 4. Okay, so now I'm going to drag the 4 attachment to 4 corners of this top part. Okay, so one thing I want to change is about the move limits. For example, I'm going to change it to 1, so every time if I drag them, they will move only one stud. Okay, remember that I talked about before, studs is the unit Roblox Studio used to measure the distance. Okay, so now I checked the moves is checked here. That means once you drag the anything, the part or the attachment, um, drag one, it will only move one stud. Okay, that will give you more accurate control of how far you want to drag something from its original point. Okay, so for example, I want to drag top 1 attachment to this corner. Okay, to this corner. So I'm going to drag. I already selected top 1. Okay, drag, 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 drag here. Okay, and then drag, drag, drag. Okay, that's how I move it. Do not use uh, you know, free drag, because free drag you will change you will change the position along this green arrow, so it will mess up because all the attachment should be at the um, um, same level. Okay, so well, looks this is a little bit too far, so okay, now I think this one is located on the board here, right? Okay, so that's top 1. Now I want to drag top 2 to this corner. Okay, to this corner, so I drag the right axis. Okay, to here. Is that too far? Yeah, too much. Okay, drag it back. Okay, now as you can see. Okay, looks good. Okay, top 3, I want to drag to this corner. Okay. It's too far. No, it's good. Okay, the last one will be top 4. Okay, so to this corner. Right, now as you can see that all 4 attachments are located to the spot I want. Okay, so you can see the 4 screen bars indicating those are attachment. Okay, if you don't see them, for example, you don't see this green bars, probably that's because you didn't um, click this constraint details. So if you don't see what you see on my screen, go to check your constraints, click the constraint details, and it will show the green sphere. Okay. Okay, now we have this 4 attachment on the top part. Okay, the easiest way to do for the bottom parts is duplicate the whole thing to create the bottom part. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, this is my top part, right? So I press Control D. As you can see, another top part is duplicated. So I'm going to rename this as bottom, bottom. Okay, because as I said, if you duplicate a part, it just placed in the original place, so you won't see any difference. in that case, we just need to drag it down. So now I selected the bottom, right? So I hold the green arrow. So as you can see now, the bottom part is at the bottom, right? So I'm going to move down a little bit like this, maybe, right? Okay. Now we have a top part and then a bottom part. Okay. If you click the bottom, you expand the part, you see um, uh, all attachments also duplicated, right? So, but the name doesn't change. So I'm going to rename them. Let's call it bottom one. Make it short. Bot one. Okay. And second one is bot two. Okay. And the third one is bot three. Okay. And the last one is bot four. Okay. So as you can see now, we have a four attachment at the bottom, four attachment um, on the top part. Now we can create the rope to tie them. Of course, you don't want the rope twisted or connected to the wrong ends. So basically, we want them 1 to 1, 2 to 2, 3 to 3, 4 to 4, right? So now in that case, our swing won't be flip over or generate some weird behavior. So let's create the rope. So again, you can click the top plus sign, you know, and you can find the rope constraint here. But if you because there are too many properties here, sometimes you don't want just looking for it. You can quickly just type rope. Now it's rope constraint. Okay, so we create first a rope constraint. Okay, there is nothing shown in the game window yet. Okay, so let's rename this as rope one. Okay, because we want to create four ropes to make the bottom part stable. So we need to duplicate 3 times to create 4 ropes, right? Okay, so rope 1, and then I create, I press Control D to create another one, Control D once, Control D twice, and 4 times. Okay, 3 times. Now you have 4 ropes. So I'm going to rename this will be 2, this will be rope 3, this will be rope 4. Okay, so rope 1, of course, I'm going to because as I mentioned, one rope has 2 ends, right? So that's something you can imagine. So one ends where how we are going to tie the rope to attachment. So if you click rope 1, go to the properties. Okay, go to the properties, and then scrolling down, you will see this attachments property attachments. So under the attachment, there is attachment 0 and attachment 1. Okay, so it doesn't matter which goes first, as long as all ropes using the same order. So let's assume that attachment 0 will be attached to the top part, and attachment 1 will be attached to the bottom part. Okay, so how are you going to attach? So move your mouse cursor to the attachment 0 and click it. As you can see, once I click it, this attachment 0 is highlighted with this blue color, and my mouse cursor changed its icon to have this interesting icon appeared. And then I move my mouse cursor to top 1 because, as I mentioned, I want to use attachment 0 for the top part. And the top part, the first attachment I want to attach is called top 1. Okay, so after I click that, as you can see, the top one filled up in attachment 0. Okay, now I'm going to do the bottom part attachment. So click attachment 1, go to the bottom part here, okay, and click the bottom one attachment. Okay, so now you can see that both space being filled, okay, and you immediately see that a rope is created in the game window. Okay, so as you can see, this red colored, okay, as you can see the red color, that's a rope. Okay, if you sometimes if you don't see okay, yeah, so we can doing this. So this top one and top and so this is a rope one. So for the rope 2, we are going to do the similar things. Okay, so rope 2, okay, final attachments. For the top part, it will be the top 2. Okay, for the bottom part will be bot 2. Now as you can see, the second rope is created in the game window. We continue doing this. Go to the rope 3, attachment 0. 0 will be top 3. Attachment 1 will be bottom 3. Okay, now the third rope is created. Okay, and the last rope here, okay, rope 4, go to the attachment 0 from the top will be top 4. Okay, and the attachment 1, the bottom part will be the bottom 4. Okay, now as you can see that all 4 ropes are created and they are well organized and doesn't twist it. Okay, so you want to make sure that they are not twisted. Okay, here I want to show you what I mean twisted, because sometimes you may wondering what's happening because your swing and behavior so weird. So for example, let's say your rope 4 should be connected to by the top 4 and the bottom 4, right? So for example, if your bottom 4, let me change it to the bottom 3. Now as you can see that this tied to the wrong attachment, right? Tied to the wrong attachment. Okay. If you, for example, if your rope 3 tied it to bottom 4, now as you can see that the rope are twisted. Okay, so if they're twisted later, the swing will have strange behaviors. Okay, so now change the back. This should be bottom 3. Yes, rope 4 should be bottom 4. Okay. Okay, now we created all the parts. One more thing I want to mention is that if you go to the constraint details, if you unclick this one, that means you close all the details. As you can see, you don't see any ropes, right? That's because we didn't make the rope visible. We don't want to see the attachment sometimes, but we still want to see the rope. Okay, so click the rope and select multiple ropes. As I mentioned before, you can click the first part you want to select. Do the multiple selection is click the first one and hold the shift key on your keyboard. Hold the shift and click the last one you want to select. In that case, all parts between the first click and the second click will be selected because they are all ropes, so they have a similar properties. Okay, so if you go to the properties, you will see this under appearance, there is a visible option. So if you check the visible option, that means all the ropes will be visible in a game mode. Okay. So as I mentioned, we don't want to see the green sphere, those things, but we want to see the rope. Now you can um, click the constraint details here. Okay. Now as you can see that all ropes are visible. Okay. That will make a look like a swing, right? Otherwise, it's more like a magic. There is no swing, but this plate will swing back and forth. Okay. So as you can see that the bottom part is right straight here, so there's nothing make it move. But we can try it. Oh, before doing that, remember that our top part is anchored. Let's check the bottom part. Because bottom part was duplicated by the top part. So the anchored was checked. So we need to make sure it's unchecked so that it can swing back and forth. Okay, now let's go to the game mode. Take a look. Oh, okay, it's too high. We need to change the length. Okay, so exit and stop the game. Okay, so the rope doesn't, sometimes we need to change, so select all the ropes. Okay, if you scrolling down to the part we're showing the length, okay, let's give maybe 10. I think 10 is good. Okay. Again. Okay, yeah, see, it's like a swing, it's moving, right? Okay, stop the game. Okay, we want to give a push at the beginning. So let's see how we're doing to it. So I select the bottom part. Okay, I give a angle like this. No, a little bit higher. Yeah, so it's similar like you give the first push for to the swing, so it will start to swing back and forth, right? So now let's take a look. Start. Now as you can see that the swing, because we give it first push and oops, okay. As you can see that I jumped to the swing and then it started to moving, right? So this is a interesting part. Then you can add it after you created this one. You can add it to your RB game, okay, and make it more fun and challenging to play with your friends. Okay, of course, you can duplicate the whole thing to create more swings. So, for example, I create a top and the bottom part here, right? So I'm going to put them in a folder. Okay, so I select the top and hold the shift, click the bottom, so both of them are selected. And then I right click here. Okay, you will see the group as a folder. Okay, so I'm going to rename it swing. Okay, as you can see, everything is in this folder. All right, bottom and all the attachment, top, all the attachment and the ropes are all here. Okay, so we'll make this file more organized, right? So and then I click the swing the folder and I press Control D. Now I duplicate another whole swing um, from the first one. Of course, as I mentioned, duplicated are located in the same place. So I'm going to move it. Look at this. Okay. Uh, I don't want to move. The swing is moving same direction. So I'm going to change this like this. So they will swing in opposite direction. Give a little bit more fun. Okay. And I can even create more. So I selected both swing folders. So click the first one and click the second one. Hold the shift, click second one, and then Control D. Again, as you can see, I duplicated the two folders. Now I'm going to move. Oh, you can see that I created 4 swing very quickly, right? So I'm going to move my spawn location a little bit here so that will block my swing. Okay. Now let's play to see what did it look like. Interesting, huh? As you can see that the swings are swing back and forth. Okay, now you can try. Well, I'm not good at this. Oh, I can jump to. Maybe a little too high. No, I was jumping. I'm trying to. You can always create. Okay, finally I jumped on the first board. Oh, this make me feel dizzy. Uh, how I can jump to the second one? Go. Yes. See, I dropped from the second to the third board. Okay. So just give you an example that how you can make your RB game more interesting and challenging to play. Okay. Yeah, and then of course you can save your game because we already talked about how to save the game, right? So save the game and yeah, that's all for this lesson. Okay, thank you.